Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Isaiah Davis. I'm a father, a husband. I'm a real estate professional. I am a licensed insurance broker, and I'm also a notary. Okay. I do want to make a mention that I'm a published author and a professional speaker as well. Thank God for Birthwork Publishing. I was able to get my book released. So now I'm a published author as well as a professional speaker, right? Above all of that, I am someone who is passionate about helping families. I want to help families like ours just think ahead, not for today alone, but for generations. So this class is going to be called Protect and Prosper. And let's just be real, y'all. Most people are going to die with dreams. They're going to die with debt. They're going to die with drama. But we're not going to do that. We're going to build legacy today. So if you ever say to yourself, I just want to make sure my family is good. If something happens or I don't want to leave confusion behind, then this is the right room for you. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and introduce our speaker for today. His name is Latavious Lamar. Latavious Lamar, y'all. I'm telling you, he's been killing it right here in insurance, in the opportunity that we both are in. But not only that, he's been helping families, guys. He's a family benefit specialist. He is a financial consultant, and he also has a book. So I want you all to receive Latavious Lamar as he talks about protecting and prospering. Latavious, you can have the floor.
Man, blessings, community. It's an honor, Isaiah, to be able to be on the same stage as you. I know we've been working together for the past few months and truly been working to just bring out the best in each other. Truly working to be able to sharpen each other's iron, to be able to serve the community at the highest level. So today, when it's my turn to speak, I'll go over some of the psychology behind what it takes to really serve at a high level, not just on a personal level, but also what it takes to duplicate yourself inside of others. Because to be able to change the world, we can't do it just from taking over neighborhoods and cities. We must take over whole, communities and whole states. And that can't be done independently. And that's what we're going over today. Some of the psychology at the back end of what it takes to really serve the people and how to really relay information. Because just like the common knowledge knows, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So we're talking about translating what a lot of us feel in our minds, but how do we communicate that out so everybody who we touch can feel it? I'll give it back to you, Isaiah.
So I want to go ahead and jump in, okay? I'm going to go through how you're supposed to calculate how much life insurance you truly need. And my goal is going to be to give you clarity and confidence. We see this every day. I see this every single day. We need to calculate. We need to look at what happens when there is no plan in place. Because if you don't calculate, even the Bible talks about having to calculate the cost and being able to understand how much you need before you do something, right? So let's first look at what happens when there's no plan in place. When people don't have a plan in place, they lose their home. They lose everything that could have been inherited by their kids because probate tied up the deed. Let's say they don't have a plan in place. Wills, trust, power of attorneys, life insurance. People have no plan in place if they get sick or hurt and can't work, have no income for different reasons, whether it be you're in a S Corp, LLC, whether you're an independent contractor, if you're working as an employee, it really doesn't matter. People have no protection in place if they get sick or hurt and they cannot work. Children are placed with the state because there's no guardian named. Elderly people are left vulnerable because no one has a durable power of attorney, because people don't have that right now because they say they can't afford it or they don't know about it. They don't have time. Inheritance money causes division because nobody knows the plan or the values behind the plan. A legacy left without structure is like a mansion built with no foundation. It's beautiful on the outside, but it's not going to last long. And everybody that came on, it's clear that we are serious about leaving a foundation. We want our mansion to be built on a rock. We want our mansion to be unmovable, unshakable. We don't want the wind to blow it down. We want it to be where we know exactly how much life insurance we need. We know exactly what kind of insurance we have. We know what we have to before we pass away. We know what we're leaving behind. Latavious Lamar and we see families scrambling emotionally and financially, y'all. They're setting up GoFundMe accounts. They're borrowing from relatives. They're trying to grieve at the same time. That's hard. Why? Because no one planned. Life insurance isn't just about money. Estate plan is not just about money. It's about peace. It's about dignity. It's about making sure your spouse isn't forced to sell a house or your kids don't have to pause going to school just to survive. It's something that happens to you when your loved ones inherit security. So I'm going to ask you, if something happens to you today, is your loved ones going to inherit security or are they going to inherit stress? If something happens to you today, would your family be able to grieve or would they be left to figure out GoFundMe's, car notes, court battles? The biggest wealth transfer in your family is either going to be strategic or it's going to be chaotic. So the purpose of this free live is not to sell you anything, it's to give you education on what you need and give you everything that people don't know. Every day, families are thrown into emotional financial chaos because of one missing element, which is called a plan. They're selling their cars, y'all. I've seen it. People selling cars, people draining savings accounts, trying to grieve. That's why life insurance is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. It's the foundation of any smart legacy plan. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Latavious Lamar so that he can break down life and legacy. And what does that mean, Latavious?
Man, I thank you for that, Isaiah. When it comes to the ability to actually transfer a lot of our information that we have, when it comes to developing the services to be able to transfer our knowledge, our information, our time, and how can we relay it to make sure it's going to be paid off at the highest level. And a lot of the ways that we're going to be able to do that is to really make sure that we're aligned with the reasons on our why, with the reasons on the why outside of the income. Because a lot of us, we join financial services and we want to begin the world of financial services because of the income potential. And then a lot of times we may see the large voids of the problems that's out here in our community, rather on a high level of income or on a low level. There's gaps to be filled on every dimension. So a lot of what we're talking about today, guys, I represent a brand of a sales system I like to call Love Wealth. That's the brand I've had for a long time. And it's just a unity behind the brand, behind the aspect of love and the abundance of that, but also wealth and the aspect of accumulating a lot of the resources that we need to acquire the freedom of life that we all want to have. And the family financial creates that understanding. Now, when it comes to protecting futures and building legacies, that's what we're about to be able to circulate this information to serve everybody. So the futures are for the young individuals of our lifespan. And for the ones who are building their legacies, we're talking about our elders. We're talking about the ones that may be right where we're at, building a legacy, something that be able to last forever. You know, protecting the futures of that next generation to be able to step beside us, the ones that's coming up beneath us. Now, I love having this saying when I'm training my guys, when I'm training other agents, but also when I'm working with other, service providers as well. And I have a quote I always love, which is serving the people and the premium will follow. And when you're focused on serving the people, not outside of the premium, you'll realize that your information begins to transfer a lot easier to be able to flow towards actually solving problems and really being the assisted buyer. A lot of times in sales and service, we always are looking for this idea of how to create the top best sales system. But the reality is there's not a one-liner to say to be able to touch somebody. The aspect is allowing somebody to know how you truly feel about their problem that they're presenting to them. You know, the art of transferring information to allow somebody to move from point A to point B isn't just a proper delivery of the facts, but it's being able to present the picture of the solution to be so large, and no matter how big their problem seems to be, we're able to now put their large problem into our even larger solution to make them feel so comforted along their journey and transfer. So I've been serving the community now for over a decade. Now, various ways to provide solutions really for a change. And the goal has been to really plant seeds in the minds of individuals to really rebuild the financial construction in our community. Now, just to give us some little guidance, understanding the heartbeat when it comes to selling long life values and true purpose, because financial services in the art of notary, real estate, insurance, investments, they're all aspects of understanding how can we make this conversation not only impact us to last for a long time, but how can we touch the other individual? You know, the aspect is about it is understanding that true financial house, which we'll get into when it comes to the life insurance and final expense planning. We want to make sure that our values are truly aligned within the purpose. And we want to know, how does your story align with the products and services that you're touching? So how does your story align when it comes to you offering your consulting services to individuals? How does your story align to your notary business, to your real estate business, to your insurance business? What connects in your personal story on a day-to-day basis that without the product that it would be able to be brought alive? This true psychology of sales, we must understand it truly reflects the human body. You know, I didn't really hit certain avenues when it comes to doors being open until I truly cleansed the pathways of my holistic body in alignment to allow me to be able to have the discernment to not only apply my information, but to be able to instill it and look like the living image and be connected to the true process of what it feels like, you know, to really be properly whole. And when it comes to the psychology of sales, it's truly it's a living, breathing system of its own. It's something that once you bite that bug and it get inside of you, it's going to live inside of you. You're going to see individuals who may come across, who may have been shy growing up, but develop structure, develop system, you know, develop the knowledge of their awareness of their surroundings, and they sound like they're trained speakers. But in their individual life, man, they wouldn't bring up a conversation to a cashier. Well, we want to understand how it reflects the systems of our body. So when we look at the whole human body, we look at the nervous system. You know, those are, you know, our feelings, our emotions, the responsiveness. And in sales, that talks about how can we quickly relay? How can we show empathy? How can we relay sympathy in these levels and be have a sense of a responsiveness to be able to follow? That's the level of connection there. We need to feel it in our nerves. But we also want to have that circulatory, like our lungs, our breathing. I mean, without that, we can't stay alive. That's going to be our relationships. A lot of that's going to be the follow-up and the connections, being able to stay committed to certain areas you're working in, certain locations, being able to grow and have avenues with certain people, and being able to not have the mindset of eating at one of those tapestry restaurants where everything's so small, you know, where it's only enough for you and your plate, and create the mindset that the more you breathe, the more that you give out. And it's going to create a cycle of ever flowing abundance. Now, our muscles is what they see. Our muscles is what they know. That's our product knowledge. That's how they see. When we translate and we flip the switch to be able to teach and understand our you know, our presentation or, you know, our consulting services or whatever we're doing, that's their muscles is what they see. That's the results. But now the heartbeat. This is the thing that a lot of people miss out on because they feel like because they got good muscles. We live in a world where we want to put on the front, but there's no substance. You know, the food images look good, but there's no taste. And a lot of times we want to focus and become an expert on the muscles, slightly able to breathe, just keep the body up. Our nervous system is really on mute because we think our muscles are going to be able to keep it up. So our heartbeat really don't serve no purpose. We blur the lines of true purpose and passion and service. We may blur those lines with different, you know, emotional constructs or different independent beliefs and never really learn how to transfer your universal purpose to be able to be the solution for all. You know, when it comes to the emotional pulse of sales, we want to understand that across all people, most people are going to allow their emotions to drive their logic. You know, most people are going to they're going to want to feel the trust and then the tone, followed up with the empathy upon their problems, and then the drive to be able to solve it due to the connection that you already made.
A lot of times we must understand that no matter how much we know and how well we look, it's the attitude. It's the attitude that delivers, because most individuals are common. A lot of us have higher levels knowledge and higher level education, and we fall into the blur of impressing our peers. But at knowing the individuals that need our help haven't been in the rooms that we've been in, haven't studied and read the books that we've read. It's not on to us to make sure that we can just translate and be impressive, but it's on to us to understand our attitude is more vital than any script that we can follow. When it comes to the broad band of why we're joining together, when it comes to the world of financial services, well, it's because there's over 102 million people in the industry, in the world, that need life insurance alone. There's still billions of people in the world that don't have a bank account. While there's millions of people right now that still needs help with retirement funds, millions of people within work jobs to this day that don't even have options requiring it. So if they don't ever get the proper help on how to guide it in their 20s and 30s, 40s and 50s, this is why most individuals in the world will never see that common sense of freedom. To give you guys that Reader's Digest, there's a lot of different aspects when it comes to structuring our financial home. Sometimes it's a term life policy to help replace the income, help pay off the mortgage in case something happened, maybe pay off the business partners. Maybe it's a whole life or universal life plan to where we can leverage and put some money aside to be able to shelter it from taxes, or just to be able to have a simple whole life plan to be able to handle final expenses, or to be able to just leave back and not be a burden on our loved ones. We can take advantage of all the benefits, but not worry about all the risk. Isaiah brought up a great example in the beginning. And here's a lot of the stories of kind of what it looks like to really build that strong financial foundation. Now, a lot of times, just like in modern day, the house you live in is true reflective of the value that you serve. And the value that you serve is truly an example of the outcomes that you get, the connections that you have, the level of protection that you serve. So when we look at it, a lot of times we want to just put on the front of the roof. Everybody wants to run and jump towards generational wealth and financial freedom, but nobody has the financial foundation of good habits. They don't have truly the sound financial management skills to be able to have the fixings, the plumbings and the fittings to be able to start building the structure of the walls of this mansion, hut, or home to live upon. And when it comes to these walls are a lot of times what money can't buy. That's these true family purposes and values that must be aligned by the man first inside a common true household, common structures. Now, when it comes to it, and we're talking about that purpose, when it comes to that value, as well as that real passion, when it comes to creating those walls, that's going to be your streams of income. That's going to be your side hustles or whatever that may be. That's going to be your businesses, some of the skills that you learn in the network. The goals that you set and the timelines that you monitor are going to really be reflective of how well and how many rooms, how many bathrooms, and what's the structure of your home, alongside the results of this day-to-day grind of what the walls and the structure of our home always looks up to the legacy. That's that well-built roof. Rather you have a straw-built roof where you're just living till tomorrow or living by the day, or you have your true metal-built roof, something that lasts 50, 60 years with great maintenance, 100 years. That's going to be that true wealth-built foundation. That's not going to be built from overnight. That's going to be built from one idea. And if it is, a lot of people will lose it. But to move forward, when we come to understanding that, we're all after that proper wealth foundation. We're all proper after that understanding of how to properly risk our funds, to properly really begin to structure to protect our family. Because at the end of the day, no matter how many loved ones that we help to reflect, we can't be denial, because there's no more poor righteous teachers, and we must be the true reflections of ourselves. We all deserve an abundance of life, though we all may not have it, but due to those who's wearing the lens, who's understanding the worthy, it's our duty to be able to represent it on both ends. The abundance in our personal life, as well as the results we solve in others. And like Isaiah said, this is free. This offer in our time for what we do in our community per hour, for most people, it wouldn't make sense to translate our time and offer our hour. At this point in where we're at, it's easier to offer opportunity than it is to offer trying to a quick supplement, but I always have an offer because I'm a national producer. Now, Our first offer is going to be a full-time sales position to be able to learn and grow with us, powered by NASB, North American Senior Benefits. Over 50% of our agents do earn over $100,000. It goes in perfect alignment with all financial services and products. And if you're getting started, life insurance industry and is one of the most lucrative to be able to be in. I mean, it's one of the ones everybody wants to learn. And if you're able to learn the skills to grow financial brokerage and life insurance, you're going to be able to conquer and do anything else. But outside of that, maybe you're already focused. Maybe you already got too much skin in the game and you do need some one-on-one sales training when it comes to image reconstruction, when it comes to sales tracks, when it comes to true mindset development, presentation alignment, and also the art of closing. We do offer that within Love Wealth. But when it comes to our joy and our honor to be able to help build the financial establishment trainings, to be able to help that man and woman establish that vision to where both of them can submit to the true purpose that they're dutiful for, that's what we live for. When it comes to the spiritual alignment, to realize what is needed to be fully tuned and equally eloped in all form aspects, when it comes to truly being aware of how our purpose is going to be developed, to truly be able to get a vision in what our life will be like with our commitments together, that's all we're offering. But at the end of the day, if you need to get in contact with any means or any avenues, Instagram, TikTok, Love Wealth Podcast. The personals is _ Melton, MELTON. And you see the number there for the contact for those who's really interested. Isaiah, I'll give it back to you to be able to close us out and touch out on all the final tune necessary.
Just quickly going back over what he was saying, he was empowering us and just giving us a kind of a breakdown of this opportunity in the end. Did you all hear that? This opportunity has changed my life, and it's an opportunity to help people. It's an opportunity to serve people. It's an opportunity to be a blessing to people. A lot of people don't know what they need for life insurance. They don't know how much coverage that they need. So I'm going to break down the method that I learned and that I don't mind teaching others for free. I call it the life needs analysis. And I promise you, this alone is going to change how you view protection forever. This is going to change how you know, like, this is how much you need in your plan, in your estate plan. So I'm gonna show you how to calculate it. And if you're a life insurance agent or if you're a broker, then this is going to be useful when helping clients to calculate how much they need. And I call it a life needs analysis. A life needs analysis. If you don't plan with precision, you're planning for pressure. If you don't put precision in your plan, you're gonna plan for pressure. You're gonna have a lot of pressure later. So number one, life stands for L, liabilities. What debts would your family be left with if you pass away unexpectedly? Okay, I want you to think credit cards, car loans, student debts, personal loans, and any other monthly obligations that's not going to disappear whenever you pass away. So if you know your credit card bill is not going to disappear, I hope you know that. Your car loan is not going to disappear. Your student loan is not going to disappear. The personal loans or any other monthly obligations. What are those? You have to write all those numbers down, right? And then if you have a mortgage, you'll basically want to make sure that your insurance is large enough to pay it off. So let's say you close on a house, because I really do think that everybody on here, if you don't have a house already, can close on a house with just a few steps, right? But when you get a mortgage, if you don't have one, or if you already have a mortgage, you want to make sure that your insurance is the length of your term in that house. So if you have a mortgage for 30 years, make sure you get a 30-year mortgage. It depends on your age and health. So you want to get it as soon as possible, but you want to get it to cover the mortgage, God forbid, in case you pass away within that time period of paying the mortgage, then the house will be paid off. Nobody's having to move. And then at least it's gonna if you don't want to do that much, because I know I've had some people that say I don't want to leave that much. That's a lot. I owe $400,000. I owe $1 million on my house. Basically, what you could do is you can at least pay it for several years, so that your family is not risking losing the home. But you have to decide how many years that you want to pay the mortgage and get an insurance policy to at least cover that, so that your family is taken care of for as many amount of years. That leads me to the next point. The I in life stands for income replacement. So you and your family's greatest assets, whatever that is, basically if you die tomorrow, your income disappears unless you protect it. Your income, your active income, what you're working for is gone unless you actually have something to replace it. So most people don't calculate long-term value when it comes to their income. They just calculate what they have today. They budget it out for their life now because a lot of people right now are living paycheck to paycheck. But most people, they don't calculate the long-term value of their income. If you own $40,000 a year and you pass away at the age of 35, your family loses over $1 million in future earnings over the next 25 years. Financial professionals, they say between 7 to 10 years of your income is what you want to have left. You want to have 7 to 10 years of income replacement to leave your family. And then basically, do you want your spouse to have time to grieve without rushing back to work? Do you want your children to finish high school comfortably? Uh, do you want them to attend a private college or a public college? I know a lot of people have younger kids. If your kids are below 5, you have to consider, do you want to at least leave enough income to get them through college? Do you want to leave enough just to get them through high school? That's pretty much what you want to think about when it comes to calculating how much life insurance you need. Tuition alone for a private college is going to be well over $35,000 a year. And then also, do you want to have like a nest egg of home equity to leave to the next generation? Because if you have a paid off house, then there's equity in that house. Your kid can borrow against that to invest in the future if they would like to, or you could as well. You could leave it to your spouse. So if your household depends on two incomes, could your family survive without yours, basically? Or if you're the sole guardian of kids, you're a single parent, could your family survive? What plan do you have in place when you pass away for your family to protect their guardianship and those kind of things as well? So this is why income replacement is the core value of any strong plan, right? F is final expenses. Funerals now, oh my God, y'all, I didn't want to talk about the funerals. Me and Latavious, we see so many people every day. We go into houses and before we can even get to the appointment, somebody has passed away sometimes. So you want to make sure that you have insurance because it's a burden on your family if you do not. Funerals right now are averaging at just $10,000 for basics. And that's if you can find that, right? You got to factor in the casket, if you decide to be cremated, burial plots, headstones, flowers, printed programs, church and venue fees, food, travel, hotel for the family members, any out-of-pocket last medical bills. That's not, if you don't want it to go on the credit, you have to pay all of that when you pass away, and people don't know that. If your family doesn't have $10,000 in savings, then you're basically asking them to grieve and if or struggle at the same time, which is very hard. It's very hard if you haven't experienced it yourself. E, which is the last part of life. LIFE stands for education or an emergency or an estate transfer. This is where you go beyond protection so you can create a legacy. What do you want to leave behind intentionally? Intentionally. Do you want to leave behind college funding for your children? Yes. Okay, life insurance. Do you want to give your spouse a financial cushion to adjust to the lifestyle without you? Yes, life insurance. Do you want to help your family avoid debt, delay, and division? Yes, life insurance. Life insurance is one of the only ways that allows you to transfer wealth instantly and tax free, y'all. If you're paying for $100,000 policy, your beneficiaries will receive a $100,000 check if it's a term policy, because there's no cash value that's been withdrawn from that policy and it's paid in full. Life insurance is one of the only tools that allows you to transfer wealth instantly and tax-free for your loved ones. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over this and then I'm gonna kind of get out of here and wrap it up for you all. I want to help people understand. A lot of people don't know the differences with insurance policies. I'm not gonna spend all day on it. I'm just gonna go over 3 basic scenarios so you can get the hint of what I'm saying. We're gonna talk about option A. Option A is a 20-year term policy, guys. A 20-year term policy. I got 20 years left on my 30-year mortgage. I need protection for my mortgage. My mortgage is $100,000 left. 150, 150,000. Okay, let's get $150,000 term policy. Basic. It's a basic policy. We're gonna call it $31 a month. It's great if you're on a budget. Temporary protection is, especially if you're early in your years. If you just bought a house within the last 5 years, if you're under 30, it's great. It's cheap to cover the mortgage. Temporary protection during your income earning years. Basically, it helps pay off debts and cover the mortgage. If you want to leave the college tuition, like I said, you want to leave $200,000 for a private education, then you can put that a $200,000 term policy aside and let the beneficiary be your child. But it's great if you're on a budget. Like I said, it just helps pay those debts off. And everything that you calculate with the debt, that's basically term insurance. You want to kind of get that if you can. Even if you're over 49 years old, if you're over 50, then you can get those. If you're over 55, between 55 and 85, I always recommend a whole life policy, which is a final expense policy. And I'm not going to get into all of that right this second, but that's your most, like I said, term is affordable. It's just pure protection. After 20 years, the coverage ends. It renews at a higher price. A lot of people think it cancels after 20 years. Not with some companies. Some companies, it's going to renew at a higher price. So you want to make sure that it's not renewing on you, because a lot of times we run into clients and their terms are increasing and they don't get it. Whenever you're trying to get new insurance, your health has changed, your age has changed, everything has changed. So you want to get everything when you're young and get your whole life and your term while you're young. So that way you can have everything locked in, and you just gotta find the money. There's a way that you can find the money in your budget to cover your insurance, but there's just education portion of it behind understanding how to calculate how much you need, and everything, and which kind of policy to have, right? So with that being said, if your health changes, you may not qualify. We had a guy who was 80 years old. I'm sorry, 83 years old, and he could not get insurance anymore. He had cancer, and we could not get him insurance. And I was just, all of that I could offer at that moment was prayer, But you definitely want to get it in when you can. But what happens after 20 years with that policy? You basically would need to requalify for insurance. It's gonna cost so much more, y'all. It's gonna go based on your health. You might have to go through underwriting. You may have to get a needle, give urine, whatever that is required with the medical underwriting. But it's good when you're young to have it. Now it's good. It's good. So I always recommend it. I call it renting. But option B would be basically a term policy, but at the end of the 20 years, you would get all your money back. You will get all your money back, right? There's 100% of the premiums are going to be returned to you at the 20 years. So option A is just a simple term. You get no money back after the 20 years. You just get coverage on your house or whatever you're covering the debt. You just get it for whatever time you're getting it, 10, 20, 15, or 30 years. And that's it. Once it's done, it's done. Option B is same terms, but you can get the money back at the end of the term if you outlive the policy. That's called a return of premium. That's not going to be $31. That's going to be more than $31. We'll call that option $100. We'll call that option $100. But at the end of the 20 years, you get all your money back that you paid into it. You don't get any interest, any dividends. It's not growing. You just get all your money back. So it's a good policy to have the return of premium, but expect to pay more, not what you would traditionally pay for a regular term. And then option C, which is the last option I'm gonna give you, is a 20-pay whole life policy. The 20-pay whole life policy, you all, it protects your family. This option protects your family, it protects your money, and it protects your future, because your money is not only going to be available for you to use while you're paying the policy if need be. If you don't need it, don't do it. But if you could need the money, you could take a loan out against your own policy. You'll be your own bank, right? If you do that, you're only paying this policy for 20 years, just like the term. But guess what? Or you could do 15 years, you could do 10 years. But at the end of that term, you're done paying the policy and you have the coverage for the rest of your life. You have the coverage for the rest of your life, and it continues to grow. The cash value in the policy, though you have not made a payment, the cash value will continue to grow tax-free. And so when you go to take the money out, if you take the money out before you pass away. You can use the money to fund whatever you would like. It could be a down payment on a home. I've seen people buy cars during COVID, taking money out of their whole life policies that was paid up for 20 years. You use the money whatever you want. It's basically a savings account, and it's growing at a higher interest rate than you would get in a savings account with a bank. And so that's a whole life policy that's option. We'll call that option $180 a month. So as you see, there are different things that you could get with the insurance, but you want to get with someone that's a professional, and you want to see if you can work out a plan with them if you're just looking for insurance. But if you're helping clients, you want to make sure that you do a life needs appointment on the client, because you want to get a need for them, a number, not something that you want to make up. You want to get something that is necessary for them to purchase, because they have to afford it for themselves. So the good thing about Latavious and I is we're not just agents, we're brokers. So we actually work with 800 companies in the United States of America. So with that being said, we can get you an option within your budget. If you say, my budget is this, then we can actually get you something that's affordable with a company that's going to be a really great company. We will never recommend you anything that we would not put our family in. So when you get this policy is more than just a term policy. It's more than just a whole life policy. It's more than just a universal life or a limited pay whole life, meaning I'm just paying a certain amount of years. This one has critical illness riders, chronic illness riders, and terminal illness riders. Critical illness basically means a heart attack. God forbid. It should not cost you your house because you had a heart attack. Now you're in the hospital for months that you did not expect, and the mortgage company doesn't care anything about you having a heart attack. A cancer diagnosis should not drain your family's future. If you're diagnosed with a major illness like cancer, a stroke, or a heart attack, this rider gives you a financial lifeline while you're still living. You're alive, and you can access your life insurance. You can access a portion of the death benefit early. You can use it to pay hospital bills, treatments not covered by the insurance company, experimental procedures, travel for care, income replacement while you're recovering. And then some of the common covered conditions would include cancer, heart attacks, strokes, kidney failures, organ transplant, ALS. All those things would be included under covered conditions for critical illness. With a physician statement signing off saying that you have that illness, you may be able to access up to 80%, and in some cases 100% of your actual life insurance death benefit amount. So I would recommend you to have a whole life policy to cover your funeral expenses, and have a term policy to cover your debt with the critical illness, terminal illness, and chronic illness riders on there. That way, if let's say you have $1 million of coverage, you'll be able to access potentially up to $1 million. But in most cases, it'll be up to $800,000 that you actually access tax-free while you're alive. Instead of crowdfunding, that's what you have in place. You have your protection for your critical illness, chronic illness, and terminal illness riders. It doesn't mean you're going to get it, God forbid, but you'll be surprised. We go into the homes of many, many, many people that have cancer. A lot of people have cancer. A lot of people have had cancer. A lot of people have had conditions like lupus that if they would have had this insurance policy in place, they might have been able to access this money with filing a claim. And so with that being said, if triggered, you can receive the accelerated death benefit in case of a nursing home care. A lot of people wonder how they're going to take care of their parents right now. Or you may be in that situation where you're taking care of your parent, or your client may be taking care of their parent. This is preventable by having this kind of policy available for you. A lot of people won't do it because they don't understand the value of it. It's not the cost. They don't understand the value of it. But then when it comes down to them agreeing to the value, or when you are ready to agree to the value, now you have to make a commitment to getting yourself protected, getting a legacy protection plan, a long-term care solution without the long-term care price. Those things are expensive. This is just a regular life insurance. All of this you can get in some cases for $50, in some cases for $20. And it just depends on your health, your life. And so you want to talk to your agent, make sure you get with a knowledgeable agent, talk about terminal illness riders. Final expenses can be paid off. You can pay off debts bucket list moments right before you pass away. Gift your children or your family inheritances. You can create a farewell on your terms. I saw one lady on social media. She had a pink casket. She wanted everybody in pink. You can go above and beyond. Some people have living ceremonies while they're alive. They want people to celebrate them when they've received a terminal illness diagnosis. God forbid that it ever happens to you, but in that instance, a lot of people will never be able to have an option to pay for that if they have not had this protection in place. And that's the final word that I have on living benefits. And I'm going to take the last 5 minutes to talk about estate expenses and the 3 documents that you should have. And we're closing out, guys. The estate expenses are the hidden cost. That's what most people forget, that after death, you still owe. You still owe if you're financing. And if your plan doesn't cover it, your loved ones are going to have to deal with it, which is probate costs, court filing fees, estate taxes, especially if you own a house, if you own property at all, any land or vacant lots. A business, if you own a business, you have to pay taxes as well. Anything that must be settled from your estate, pretty much in that instance, is going to have to be paid. It's going to have to be paid by somebody. It's going to have to be paid by somebody. So if the life insurance doesn't factor in the hidden costs, your family could lose what's meant to be left for them. Estate planning is not about being rich. Like I said, life insurance, I can't afford it, doesn't make sense because it's not about being rich. It's about making decisions now so that the court doesn't have to make them for you later, or so that the wrong person doesn't have to make them for you later. Someone that you don't want to designate. Estate planning is not for the wealthy. It's for the wise. It's for the wise. You get wealthy because you're wise. So let's talk about the 3 must-have documents. And the 3 must-have documents to include in your estate plan would be a power of attorney. You need a power of attorney, financial, and medical. So financial power of attorney will give someone access or give them the rights while you're alive to make decisions on behalf of your finances. They can access your bank accounts and everything. Medical would be to make decisions over you, decisions for you medically on your behalf, right? So as a notary and a former property and casualty license, well, I'm still a property and casualty license agent, meaning I've sold life insurance, health insurance, business insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, whatever you could think of, renter's insurance. I've sold a lot of insurance, but I've seen that firsthand as a notary. People get into accidents, they're hospitalized, their families cannot legally access their bank account or speak for them, not even their spouse, without that document. You have to have a power of attorney for your finances and for your medical. 60% of Americans don't have a power of attorney, meaning families are left powerless during a crisis, speechless during a crisis. People are organ harvesting. That's not a myth. I'm telling you right now. People are harvesting organs because they don't have a power of attorney, and the doctors are, if they have something on their license, that's it. You have to get an advance directive and a healthcare proxy as well. An advance directive would ensure that your medical decisions are honored. You may say, well, who's going to hold it up just because it's a piece of paper? No, you have an advance directive. It ensures that your medical decisions are honored. If you want to be on life support, then you can, that in that document you have to state that. But if not, you don't have to. Somebody can take you off. If you want to be taken off of life support after a certain amount of time, you can put that in your advance directive. Otherwise, doctors might decide, or your family might argue about what you would have wanted. Who's supposed to know what you would have wanted besides you? And number 3 is a will and a living trust. You need a will and a living trust. You need a will and a living trust. As a realtor, y'all, I have seen homes locked in probate for years. Years. Simply because the owner, they never named a beneficiary. They never set up a trust. They just didn't have the time. or it was too expensive to get everything together. Never ever got it together. I'm gonna give you something else, something you probably never thought about this before, but it could save your family a fortune. A personal articles policy. Do you own any jewelry? Anything that you want to pass down? I know people pass down jewelry. Some people pass down wedding gowns, any collectibles, family heirlooms, any rare items. Those items don't automatically pass down. If it's not documented, then it doesn't exist anymore. Where are the items going to go? And a lot of people don't know, with personal articles policies, insurance companies have personal articles policies. You can insure your rings. You can insure collectibles, family heirlooms. Basically, it's not going to automatically pass down. It has to be documented and it has to be insured properly. Or they can be lost, they could be disputed, they could be stolen. You could be traveling to Turkey and somebody could take your Rolex. I've had this happen to a client. She was in Turkey, somebody snatched her Rolex and she let the personal articles policy lapse, meaning she did not pay the payment, and she was not able to get the product insured. She let it lapse 2 years before. But if she would have had that, she would have gotten that entire $70,000 Rolex replaced with a personal articles policy. That's protection, right? That's protection. I don't care if you have a diamond earrings and it's 2 carats. If you want to get protection on it, you can get protection on it. If you want to have a laptop, you can get protection on those things. You right, but we're just talking about protection. And then last but not least is the personal liability umbrella policy. I've spoken with a lot of clients that have net worths over $250,000. And so even if your net worth is not over $250,000, you are going to be over $250,000 one day. Or you may have net worths that are almost $250,000. Right? But a personal liability umbrella policy basically is $1 million of liability insurance protection that covers your home, your autos, everything. It covers all of that in case somebody sues you, basically. But let's say your home insurance has $100,000 of liability protection. The $1 million would extend in addition to that. So if it's $400,000 that you're being sued for, it's going to come $100,000 from the home insurance policy, and the remainder will come from the $1 million umbrella policy you have. In the same year, if somebody sues you because you hit them, and your insurance is only liability, 25,000, 50,000, or 25,000. If somebody hits you, or let's say you hit somebody and they sue you, and the damages come out to 100,000. Where's it going to come from if your insurance is only going to cover 25,000? Where's it going to come from? A lot of people have liability umbrella policies, but this is the thing with some insurance companies, with auto insurance, you have to have a minimum of $250,000, $500,000 on your liability for your auto insurance. So it wouldn't apply to some people. But if your net worth is over $250,000, then that would matter. So with that being said, this is why the estate plan and your insurance plan has to talk to each other. You're not just hearing this from someone who read a brochure or is guessing. Latavious and I, each and every single day, we are in our cities and we are in the homes of several clients, and we hear a lot of these things in real life. And so we just want to thank Latavious for coming on. And you're hearing it from someone who's licensed in insurance. You're hearing it from someone who's commissioned and certified as a notary. And you're also hearing it from someone who's active in real estate. I've sat down with families in crisis and I've seen the breakdowns and I've helped families. Legacy isn't just about what you leave, it's about what you set in motion. So let's go ahead and protect and prosper, y'all, for real. Let's protect and prosper. Let's put it in motion. Let's stop making GoFundMes and family default plans, and let's leave strategy, not confusion. So thank you all so much for coming. This has been a very successful meeting, and we're going to be on again next Saturday. Protect and Prosper life planning coaching session with me. You can go to IsaiahDavisinsurance.com and you can
Man,
speak directly
Isaiah,
with me
it's wonderful,
about your
bro. I can't
insurance
wait to
needs.
just continue to do more.
And
I can't wait to
Latavious is
continue to
going to
do more
give
and
you
keep building on
his
this series
information.
and continue to just unravel all we know. Because the more that we give out, the more that we're gonna have room to be able to put more inside of us, and it's gonna be a constant cycle. I just put my calendar link down because we're too busy in the community face to face these last couple weeks. But uh, simple old school ways. Send me a message 404-927-9052 if you need any help. Licensed in South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Texas, New Jersey. If you need any help regarding opportunities, looking to grow, looking for a great mentor, and my energy is not too much, man, same lines. Love Wealth Podcast, Instagram, TikTok _Melton is the personal one for now. And yeah, let's stay tuned till next week.